All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Chris Featherstone once again for SK Wrestling's Inside SKoop. I am here, my guy, man. I really have built a quick friendship with this guy, man. I really love talking to him. He sends me old school stuff, and I love old school stuff. I love old school wrestling, and he sends me, very rarely seen videos about him pile driving the Undertaker 3 times. Recently, he gave me he showed me a was it Survivor Series team with him and the person we're going to talk about tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about Ric Flair. This is my guy, Jacques Rougeau. How are you tonight, sir?
Woo!
There it is.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, Doctor. It's becoming a nice weekly meeting that we're having. I really enjoy doing the interviews with you, and well, let's talk about Ric Flair. I was getting beat up so bad in the business because I was starting. I was young, and so I changed my name. I went to Atlanta, and when I stayed a year and a half in Atlanta on TBS doing jobs, on every Saturday and Sunday, and it was the biggest TV station in the United States. Like every territory you'd go wrestle to, like there'd be a TV in Alabama, there'd be another territory in Tennessee, there'd be a TV there. But when you'd wrestle on TBS, Turner Broadcast System, the owner of CNN and Jane Fonda, which you know who I'm talking about, Turner. And so when you wrestle on his TV station, you'd be seen from Boston to California, everywhere on the East Coast, West Coast, and some other countries. So I was getting beat up. I was a jobber at the time. I'd started the business 3-4 years before that, and I was with great talent there. I'm going to name you a couple. There's Wahoo McDaniel, Tommy Rich.
Wildfire. Yeah.
You remember Wildfire? Tommy Rich?
What
a great guy. Yeah.
He was NWA champ one time. It was a short run, but he still got the belt.
He was cool. He was hot, with his white hair going down to his shoulders there, and that brush haircut he had there, the square. But I like Tommy a lot. Anyway, long story short is I was wrestling with all that talent, and there was Thunderbolt Patterson. I don't know if you remember Thunderbolt Patterson.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He was a great guy. I love that guy in the dressing room. He's fun. But anyway, so there I am, Jerry Roberts. They gave me the nickname of Jerry Jobber. So anyway, everybody passed over me. Everybody beat me in Atlanta on TV. And here I come on one morning, a TBS station. And it's TV taping Saturday morning. So I come in the dressing room and I sit down and I look on the card because they had 3 hours of taping. So it was like every hour you had a match, sometimes 2 matches out of 3. And so I'm looking there and I see on the card, Jerry Roberts versus Ric Flair. And I'm going, holy macro. I'm going like, this guy is the NWA world champion. I'd seen him in a few territories, but not very long because he was only on the big shows everywhere in the States. He'd come in, they'd fly him in main event, and he'd gone. He wasn't in those territories that I was in. So I'd just be impressed by him and see him once in a while come in with his nice, big, shiny robes, and he had the greatest robes. It was amazing in those days. It really impressed me. So there I am sitting in Atlanta, Georgia, TBS in the morning, and around 7 o'clock, 7:30. The show starts at 9, and so Ric Flair comes to me, and I don't know, Chris, if I'd mentioned that in my other interviews with you, but in those days, it was the bad guys, the heels, that would call the match. Like, in other words, when you were in the ring with a guy, the babyface, the good guy, would never have a word to say. It was always the bad guy who led the matches. It was the rule of the way it was. So when I sat down with Ric Flair and he sat down with me, he says, kid, just don't worry. He says, just listen to me in the ring. And he says, we'll have a great time. He says, you're a great worker. I love your drop kicks and this and that. So just follow me. So I said, yes, sir, and yes, sir. So I get in the ring with him. We had a 6-minute match. And Chris, you will not believe what happened to me. We're on TBS. We're seen around the country now. So I'm sitting there and he comes to me. And like I said, he says to me, just listen to me in the match and we'll have a great time. So I go in there, and for the 5 first minutes of the match, He makes me run in the ropes. He makes me jump. He makes me drop kick. He makes me backflip. He makes me dive, cross body blocks, and I'm going nuts. And every time I'm coming back to the headlock, because every move that he tells me to do, he always reminds me to come back to the one hold that you start the match with. But in those days, when you worked an armbar, you worked it the whole match. And you worked the leg, you stayed on the leg. You know, there was a psychology behind wrestling in those days. So he'd always bring me back to the headlock. And for 5 minutes, he made me shine. And at the last second of the match, he slipped a fast one on me and he beat me 1, 2, 3. And I went back to the dressing room. I was feeling like a king. My head was so big. I was so proud, you know, and he made me look so good.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I said, when he came back in the dressing room, he says, "You okay, Jerry?" And I looked at him and I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Can I speak to you for a second?" And then he looked at me, thought something was wrong, and he came to sit down. And I said, "Mr. Flair, I got to ask you something. Why'd you do that? Why me? You know, I'm the guy that gets beat up the worst in the territory. And you brought me in the ring, and you made me look like a killer for 5 minutes, and then you beat me. Why'd you do that? Why'd you give me 5 minutes out of 6 matches when you could have shined the whole 6 minutes?" He said, "Jacques," and at that time it was Jerry Roberts. He said, "Jerry, let me explain something to you. If I would have went in the ring and I would have just swept and beat you up for 6 minutes and just put your face in the mat, do whatever I want for 6 minutes, I would have beat nobody." He says, "Now I went in the ring against a young fired Frenchman, and you came up with some moves, and you were incredible, and you almost beat me, but then I stopped you, and I beat you." So he says, "I beat somebody. I just didn't beat nobody.
Yeah.
I beat somebody. And now I got to tell you something, Chris. That was such a lesson for me in my life. Incredible. You know, and even up to today now, like I'm playing crib with my girlfriend, or I'm playing shuffleboard, or I'm playing any game I play with my girlfriend now. And, you know, sometimes she starts winning before me. You know, she wins a couple of games. And then I said, "Don't worry, I'm putting a Ric Flair on you," you know, because I'm fixing to come back, you know. And I always use that expression in my current language every day that we play crib, my girlfriend and I. I'm going to Ric Flair you.
Nice.
So,
Nice.